Hello, all, and welcome to Blended Love Family Conversation, where tonight we will be talking with the Pennies. We'll be talking about marriage and their ministry on marriage and how they got together and how they are assisting on helping others follow their path to greatness within marriage. As always, we love to continue our discussions on blended families, and we're here to support, but mainly tonight is going to be the topic of focusing on staying together, staying connected, and staying rooted within God.
And for those of you who are just tuning in tonight and it's your first time watching, this is Alan Whitson and my name is Ebony Whitson, and we are the founders of Blended Love. We are striving for the success of blended families everywhere, Wisconsin and beyond. Our ministry is based off of our family, our own blended family, where when me and my husband met, he had two, I had three, and we had one more. We are a blended family of 8, and we take our trials and tribulations that we've been through and use them to help others to strive and succeed. Not that we're perfect, but that we know that everybody needs a strong support system. And so we want to be one of those that can help. I know that the Penny should be joining us shortly. So just a few reminders to tune in every third Sunday at 6 p.m. for our Blended Love Family Conversations. We'll be live with a new guest every month. And be sure to connect with us on our website at blendedlove.com. That's BLEND 3D love.com, where you can connect with us and stay involved in what we have going on, where we will be presenting, teaching, things like that. So we're going to give them a few minutes to chime in. And as soon as we get them going, get them on, we'll get right into it. Anything else you want to say along with you?
Just remember that families are the key to success in your well doing and your well being. Children, whether bonus children or children they're all benefits and gifts from above. And so we're so glad that they can be gifts to us.
All right, looks like they are in. Hey, you guys!
Oh,
No, you didn't sit outside in that beautiful weather while we raining and snowing here.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we did, girl.
Oh man, that's so wrong.
We was
Well,
like,
look,
it's so
everybody's
beautiful.
gonna
Let's
be,
go outside.
it is beautiful. Everybody's gonna be envious of this now. But hey, I love it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You popped in right on time. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, my name is Jonathan Penney. Here in Congo, Texas, and me and my wife Brandy, we put together Fingerprint the Marriage, where we can go ahead and help couples use the utilities and the tools that we learned, which helped us with our marriage. We just recently started a church, Conquering Life Worship Center, as well. So we are the two lead pastors of that church, and we just allowing God to use us with every gift and tool that we have.
I love it. Love to hear it.
yeah, congratulations to you both starting your church. I had the opportunity of taking a look at your journey all the way back on Burleigh here in Wisconsin. And starting off at your beginning of roots. And it was nice for you all to show what you done built up in the direction that you had went before going on your journey where ministry has called you to continue to faith in the direction that you're going on. So I was definitely happy to look into your journey and your background and see your success and see how you guys are capitalizing and continuing to build on faith.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about how you got together for those who have not had the privilege of meeting you.
Oh, you want the real story? You
Well,
want
you got to give us the abbreviated version, but yes, because we're
you
going to
want
shout out your links at the end so they can dive a little deeper. So
okay. You want the blunt truth?
I like the
No
blunt
hold
truth.
back. No hold back.
No holdbacks.
Okay. This baby was my weed man. That was
Ah,
my weed man. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. His nickname back in the day was Shorty Cuz. So you call Shorty Cuz when you needed some, and so my My ex brother-in-law was his best friend, which was my sister's uh ex-husband cousin, right? Just fam, everybody fam, right? And so
Everybody.
I just remember one night I was like, because he had been around, but I never took interest. It was just one night he had hair like down his back. And in my brain, I was like, "Ain't nobody hair be better than mine," And then one day, and then one day he cut it off, and it was like he was this whole new person. It was just like a light beam. I'm being very dramatic, but it was like, yeah. I was like, "Oh, who is that?" He was like, "Shorty Cuz."
You're smoking too much weed.
And I was just like, "Oh yeah, you going out with me tonight?" And he was like, "Absolutely." And that's what started our journey. We constantly went out. We were out. We were bar hoppers, club hoppers, weed heads. We smoked every day, all day. We drank every day, all day. And I got tired. I got tired. Got to be something better than this life. And
Yeah.
then I went searching for God. And of course, if you seek, you'll find.
Amen.
And then I was like, babe, I was going to the Sanctified Church on Burleigh. And I was like, coming home, babe. Oh, I just, I'm so in love with this guy, but I never pressured him. I let him do him. And he just saw my light shine. And then one time I came home, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped cussing. But man, I couldn't give up this man in my bed every day. And it felt like he wanted to have sex every Sunday before service, every Wednesday. But I don't know if it was, just a thought, but it was like, come on, man. So I'm going to church crying, because I'm like, I could give up everything, but I can't give this man up. So I'm crying. And a woman of God came up to me in my quiet space. Don't nobody know what's going on but God. She comes up to me and she said, listen, God don't want you to have that burden. And I looked. She's like, I will marry you guys for free.
Wow.
And I just started crying. I will marry you guys. You don't have to worry about anything because God don't want you to have that guilt that you have. And I just knew God was real. And so then I went home. I was so excited because we had been saving up for a big wedding, right? But that wasn't gonna be for like a year. We already had 2 kids, So I'm all when you comfortable, you comfortable. We shacking, it is what it is, and it was what it was. And so I went home. I'm like, babe, the woman of God said she'll marry us for free, and then we'll save up for our big marriage. And this is what I heard. Crickets. Absolutely nothing.
He was not in agreement.
He said, but he didn't, give me. So a week goes past, nothing. 2 weeks go past, he still ain't said nothing. It's been a whole month and he still ain't said nothing. So I was like, well, you gotta go. And I just kicked him out the house because I was standing for righteousness. I was standing, I tell women all the time, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I was just like, you gotta go. I love you. I love you, but no, and he respected that. And him leaving, he went to go stay with his aunties and them, and that didn't work out. So then he went to a shelter, and that's where God found him, is in the shelter.
Right.
Tell your story.
So pretty much like she said, everything was true. She was going to church. I'm still smoking weed, drinking, going to the club, going to the studio, recording music and things like that. I was a so-called local rapper. And but yeah, once I moved out, I couldn't just go back to the old lifestyle that I was living because I didn't want that life no more. You know what I mean? So I just dropped everything. I dropped all my guys. I dropped my family. You know what I mean? And I said I just start all over. So the best way for me to start all over is just go to the shelter. And when I went to the shelter, they introduced me to a whole nother life. Because you know what I mean? It's like, wow, this is how it feels to be on the bottom. You know what I mean? So then that opened me up to basically just receiving Jesus Christ. So I started seeking out our bishop and things like that. Started going to church, and immediately he took me under his wing, on Burleigh, and little by little I became this man of God that I am now. It wasn't an easy road or anything like that. But later on, little by little, she thought I was faking and things like that.
Baby.
But it took for her to make that first step for me to make my step, because I didn't grow up in church, anything like that. I wasn't raised around pastors or nothing like that. I was raised in the streets. You know what I mean? Preacher man coming around, I don't want to hear all that, dude. Just keep on moving, things. But when we finally allowed God in our relationship, we had to separate so God can work on both of us.
Yeah.
I mean, and then once God cleaned out our hearts and renewed us and restored us and brought us back together, now we're looking at life from a different perspective. And that's what God really started using. Is like, now I can use y'all as an example that anything is possible, because nobody thought we would make it.
Absolutely.
That was good. So, how many years have you all been married now?
2008. So that is
Let me.
what?
Oh, so sorry. What, 15?
It's 16
16
years. But we've been together 22 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Wow.
See,
Okay.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's so good to hear that your testimony, because I think it gives other people, as like you said, a fingerprint or the blueprint of what you have is giving them the opportunity to see that, no matter what hard times you done fell on or what background you had, you still got the opportunity to make a difference. You're not what you look like in the past. You're not look like what somebody may have described you all to be. You guys are something different, and I think that's one thing is the good Lord can wash us all and clean us up and make us appear to be different. And and you guys are walking in the truth. So I'm glad that you are on to share this information and tell more people about your path, and then continue to carry on your ministry.
You want to share your nickname?
My nickname.
You should share your nickname because it's just that's just too close.
Because it's so coincidental.
It's so coincidental. You gotta tell them.
I don't. Nah.
Come on.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So my street name back in the day was Shorty Taz.
I feel you.
See? I said when you said that, I said,
wondering what they're looking
whoa.
for.
You did give a look. I know. I was like, what is going on?
Oh man, I love that. I love that.
Dude, that's so cute.
No said, bro. No
Say less. I already understand.
Yeah. Like you said, you don't always look like what you've been through, and so we always try to make sure we tell everybody that, and just be very transparent and very truthful on how it is, because that's the same thing with us in having our family. When we had our children out and about, a lot of times no one could even tell that we had a mixed family, because it doesn't look like what we've been through. They go, wow, you have a multitude of kids, they well disciplined, they look just like you, and I'm thinking 3 of them don't even belong to me, but they do belong to me, like
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. A lot of time, majority of times when we meet new couples and things like that, they look at it, they're like, "Oh, we love y'all. Y'all so sweet. Y'all like the perfect couple." And we look at each other like, "Man, y'all don't even know." But then when we get to sharing our story, they get to like, "No." Yeah, I was that dude,
Absolutely.
But it's the grace of God. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit more about your family dynamics. So we kind of want to know just a little bit more of kind of how you balance your family, balance ministry, just some of the things that you've worked out right that could be helpful to others.
So we have 5 kids. We're not a blended family. All our kids are by each other. Yeah, we had our oldest has a baby, so we're grandparents. But she lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She's 22 now. And then we still have the 4 that live with us.
Okay.
So the number one rule of our house is we gonna serve the Lord.
Absolutely.
Right? How we balance everything is planning, and we don't always get it perfect, but we got calendars. We're always tweaking it. Because not only do we do ministry, but our kids are varsity, our kids are JV, our kids are in choir. Our kids, you babies together did modeling. I mean, like I keep them active, so they don't get in trouble. Priority for us, because I know it's easy to get in trouble. It's easy to find unhealthy things to get involved in. So we stay involved in our kids' life. We take turns. But lately, I want to say this year's been all of John picking him up from practice because his job though is closer, to
Mm-hmm.
the kids' school. So we work it out that way. Every Tuesday. Well, we went on a little break, but Wednesday nights we have services. The rule is you have to come to one service a week.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Right. So you get to choose if that's going to be Wednesday or Sunday, but you coming in one a week.
Okay.
We allow them to live their lives.
Yeah.
We go on fast. We go on fast as the families. We fast. So right
Okay.
now we're on a fast.
I love that.
Yeah. So I teach them, we teach them, I'm sorry, biblical principles, how to
Mm-hmm.
apply it to your life. Why do we fast?
Right. Yeah.
Because we supposed to teach our kids. We can't expect the world to, and
Exactly.
the church is to help us. We are the church.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of self-sacrifice. And I feel like the older they get, the more we can uh do things for us. Because when they was little, it was all about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say maybe every 5 years the dynamics shift.
Yeah.
Because now I got a 17-year-old, the 19, he driving, the 19-year-old driver, so he helps. He go get a kid,
I love
from
that.
a practice or from a game, like
Mm-hmm.
you gonna stay with us, you gonna help. So
Yeah.
he got a car, so he go and help when he can, when he not at work. And then now the 16-year-old is trying to get his license, and we're gonna pass the buck. So when we
Yeah.
can't be there, you're gonna be there. We have not been consistent, but we always try to plan date nights.
Yeah.
And even if we don't plan the date nights, we make sure we land face to face talking every
Okay.
other night. We're in our face. I'm very intentional about that. We pray
Mhm.
together at night. Um, and we communicate well. I'm a texter, boy. I'll text him in a minute. Did you do this? Did you got this? Did you do that? And he likes emailing. I'll be like, I don't check my email, and so we figure out what works for us,
Right.
and it's trial and error, but communication is the key. And I think that's what works for us. We find ways to communicate.
And I want to tell you too, we interview every family structure. So even though you're not a blended family, your story and your methods and the things that you've done, the things that you've been through, can help every family structure. So there's a lot of people who are still like, I can take something from that, and I need to do that with my kids, and I can apply that to my marriage. So just because it's like your testimony is still strong enough for any family structure, whether they being raised by grandma, auntie, whoever. You can take these things that you guys are sharing and put that to practice, especially the communication. I think that's key in overall in the household is, we don't talk enough, and I crack up sometimes because my kids communicate with me through videos, and I'm like, what are you trying to say? Really, like, don't be sending me this YouTube, like, but I'll be cracking up because I'm like, you trying to tell me something? And like, yeah, so, and I use it as a way to pull out more details. Like, okay, you send me this TikTok, let's talk about this. How you feel? How do you really feel? Because that's an expression.
Yeah.
These days, it's like I express myself through that. Somebody else said it, and it's funny, but it's really telling, what I would really say without getting whooped because I can't really say that to you to your face. So don't you like this video? Come here.
Let's talk.
So what are some of the things that you kind of like experienced, I would say, on the negative side that you triumphed through, that you would like to share, that you feel like, have been significant in your journey?
I would say dealing with the change of the culture,
Mhm.
because we have kids in different ages. We can do so much in our household, but at the same time, our kids are being influenced by everything. Once they walk out these doors, they're being influenced by their friends. They're being influenced by the music, just culture itself. So I would say one negative thing is sometimes we don't want to be too pressure. We don't want to pressure our kids into doing something because we're all going to make mistakes. We all got to learn. We all learn differently. You know what I mean? And what we like to do is allow our kids to enjoy life and live life. If you're going to make a mistake, at least we're going to try to learn from that mistake.
Mhm.
I would say, in a way, we sometimes be a little too given too much freedom,
Mhm.
And a lot of times they'll go astray. You be like, maybe okay, maybe I let you off the leash a bit too much. Then come on back in. And sometimes it's a struggle because we're dealing with a culture that's constantly changing on this generation. It's easy to fall into negativity nowadays because they're so surrounded by it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're constantly consistent with feeding them the word of God, consistently trying to be loving to them and so forth. But I would say the main thing is just allowing our children to be who they are and live life and allow them to learn God where they are, you know what I mean, and continue communication. And I say, but one thing parents could do is just continue loving their children. Because how I look at it is, look at everything I went through, all the mistakes that I did. You know what I mean? God never abandoned me. God never forgotten about me. So I'm still here. I'm still being used by. So even though my child may make a mistake at this moment, you know what I mean? I can't beat him down and ruin him and possibly kill him spiritually. I have to continue to love him through that, because I never know what God is doing through that moment. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just let God do that. My part is just to raise them up as a child, raise them as a child of God, which they are. You know what I mean? Without making them feel like they're supposed to be all perfect and things like that. Because that's what a lot of kids feel nowadays, especially when it comes to Christianity, that, you know, that we expect for them to be perfect. And it's not about being perfect. It's just about, are you, are you willing to listen, learn, and things like that, and just move forward with God?
Now, just to piggyback, I did my especially my oldest, she was perfect. Not that I forced her to. I don't know if you ever had a good child.
Yeah.
She just was a good child. So now
Mhm.
my expectations is what you gave me. But
Yeah.
when we talked to her, she was like, well, because you in ministry, I had to do this. Because, so
Mhm.
it wasn't like she wanted to, or I thought it was because who she was. She was all along doing it because of our titles.
Yeah.
And so she just wowed out right after high school. I mean, well, senior year. And I was
Yeah.
like, what happened? What happened? You know,
What is this?
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
like, what happened? And when she was able to, because we do communicate, and she
Yeah.
was just like, y'all made me feel like I had to be perfect. She's like, it wasn't that you tried to do that. It's just that's what it meant, 4.0 student, very responsible, kept the house. She's the oldest of five. She took care of her siblings. You know,
Yeah.
she didn't get into the college she went. Now, mind you, she had seven award letters, scholarship, whatever. And then she didn't get into the one she wanted and she lost it.
Oh.
And and I was, I'll be honest, I was a little devastated,
Mhm.
um but you have to let them make their mistakes. You have to let them go through life. You have to let them fall so that they're able to get back up. You have to let them learn to have a relationship with God. One thing I can tell you, I don't care what go wrong with her. She called me like, Mama, can we pray? Mama, pray.
Yeah.
She respect my anointing, which is amazing to me, because of our battle and and what we've been through. And also it teach me that I do love. Like sometimes as a mom, you think you be too harsh or not harsh enough, all the things that we go through. But as
Yeah.
they, raise up a child in the way that he should go, and when he gets old, he won't depart.
Right.
I'm getting to see that now.
Yeah.
I'm getting to see that manifestation through all the hard times. Because women, we could butt heads. Women
Absolutely.
don't want only one queen in this castle.
And I think that comes into even more play as you watch them have their own children. And like for me, like the heartbreak was I really wanted them to have their own families. I didn't want them to be single parents because I knew how hard that was on us. It was just, and we were trying to be as transparent as we wanted, as we could, without just going down to the nitty gritty details. But, we just really told them how it was. And then to see that they still kind of like, ended up in those same things. Like, well, what are you thinking? It's not going to be any different for you than it was for us. But we're still here for you, and we're still going to help you through this, especially because we know it is life changing to go through that, and not have someone in your corner, with you. So it's on you.
It's on me.
Yeah.
Well, you talking about the kids, because they talk so much about the fingerprint to marriage, and the one thing that I heard Mr. Penny talk about and Mrs. Penny talk about it's just date nights.
Mhm.
And so, even as we talk more about the family, sometimes we have to talk about us
Mhm.
in those situations. What do we do to keep ourselves going amongst all of the chaos? And, that's probably a loose term, but chaos when you got busy schedules and hectic, like you say, we take take a night out for a date night, or we take a moment to communicate. I think more people need to understand how important that is, because is just like anything else, blended families are hard, but the divorce rate is high.
Mhm.
And the divorce rate, you guys have been going on 16 plus years, and then some, and so it is very beneficial to talk about how you stay together as a couple, the things that you have done with each other, and and don't be afraid to, I know this is public, but give a little knit and grit, because I believe that people think that, everybody want to hold it back on the
I'm
inside
about to hit you with it.
and not tell the truth, on what it is. Sometimes
Yeah.
that, these arguments and discussions and family conversations get real, but then we still got to come back and have a date night and sit back at the table and look at each other and smile. What is that really all about?
Yeah.
Sex. Sex is priority in our life. Our kids say y'all nasty. We do not play. We do not play. So and you as we grow, right? We change. But see, when me and John first got together, it was all about sex.
Mhm.
We didn't even talk. Everybody was like, "You don't even know that man." Like I ain't even know him. For the first 5 years, we didn't have conversation. What was that song? That whip appeal. It was like we was like, "Yep." 5 years.
He's,
You know about his
he
family.
looking at me like,
It was
yeah,
all. It was just. It was like we had this magnet. It was just all sexual with us, right?
Mhm.
And then of course, so sex bring kids, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just inevitable. And
Mhm.
so then the second child, that's when I turned my life over, right? Because remember I was telling y'all every time
Yeah.
he want to have sex, but that's not unusual. That's who we were. So
Yeah.
now I can't expect him to stop something that I started.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But my sex addiction came with the drugs, with the weed,
Mhm.
with the drinking. So now that I'm stopping, guess what, y'all? My sex drive ain't there no more.
Yeah, that's true. You
Mhm.
don't
Right?
have no spirits in your
Mhm.
system anymore.
Correct. So it ain't
Mhm.
all about sex no more. So now what we gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? So now, we get this we go through marriage mentorship. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the categories was sex. So we always had that in the forefront, and it wasn't like we never stopped. I just slowed down, I should say. I mean, we went from excessive to normal. I think, right? Like, we were excessive, and then we went to normal. But for him, he did like, nah, we need
Right.
excessive.
Right.
You can't start something and not finish it. But
Mhm.
also, I think what happened with that is, so when the enemy comes in, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm not excessive like I used to, I open that door, and so that's how I end up falling again, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like, I'm not how I used to be. I just need a drink.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me go. And so after 15 years of celibacy, I went back. I went
Mhm.
Mhm.
back to drinking and I went back to smoking weed after 15 years,
Wow.
right? Because
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was during COVID.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm a social butterfly. I mean, it was a lot of
Yep.
variables,
Yeah.
right? You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? That COVID took me out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We
It,
just
it
talking
took
about
me
this.
out.
Yeah.
And so we
Not
all with each
alone.
other every day, all day. Okay, well, let's smoke and drink because we ain't working. And then that way
Mhm.
we could do up all the time. I could be nasty, you know what I'm saying? Nasty Randy, I could
Yeah.
be, back in the day type. And I saw how the enemy worked in that,
Yeah.
just wanting to please my husband, wanting to, be like I was 19 again,
Yeah.
but anyway.
We can't do
So
none of them 19-year-old things either. We done broke something. But
once in a blue moon. That once in a blue moon, but not on a
you
regular.
can't do it.
Not on a regular. But that's one thing we always keep alive, though. We
Mhm.
always believe sex because, first of all, men are sexual. Let's be real. Let's be
Mhm.
honest. They need respect. We need love.
Yeah.
When you understand, your man, he understand me too, boy. If I'm a little frustrated, he be like, come on. I be like, dang, how you know? That's what I love about him. He learned, we learn each other. You become one fingerprint. What works for y'all works for y'all, but works for us. Like we know, because sex is a wholeness.
Yeah.
You must come together. God created that.
Yeah.
He sees us as a whole when you have sex. See, the
Mhm.
world and perverted it, but God created
Absolutely.
that for us. He
Absolutely.
created that for the marriage.
Mhm.
It's purpose. It's a spiritual connection when you have sex. The longer you don't have sex, it's like you separate. You allow
Yeah.
the enemy to come in. You
Yeah.
must have sex.
Mhm.
And you can't use it as witchcraft. A
Yeah.
lot of women want to do that. Oh, well, you ain't acting right, so you ain't getting none. That's witchcraft, baby.
Yeah.
And you don't operate in that. You know how
Yep.
many times I don't feel like doing something?
I'll say, and I say another thing is not only sex, but I say a proper communication as well, because we believe that every marriage should only have one fingerprint, that which is one identity. The
Mhm.
only way that a marriage can have one identity is for us to communicate with each other, get to know each other, get to understand each other. Like you
Mhm.
said, the first 5 years of us being together, we didn't know each other because I really didn't have an open communication with her,
Mhm.
because I had so much going on. I was living a type of lifestyle that I didn't want her to actually know who I
Mhm.
was. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You stay where you are, and I continue doing what I'm doing. You don't need to be involved in this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So that kept her outside of my world. But then as we grew together and became married and so forth and things like that, that's when God started entering and started changing our hearts. And that's where I was like, okay, now we need to go a little further. And I began to intentionally get us involved in marriage mentor programs, marriage conferences, and things like that. I started intentionally seeking out tools that's going to help us. You know what I mean? Because now we need to be on the same accord. A household should not have two different visions. A household should not be a two-headed monster. You should be going one way and then I go on another way. We should
Mhm.
be going in one direction. And that's where we
Absolutely.
came up with one fingerprint, a fingerprint of marriage. You should have one fingerprint. And the only way you can do that is to build that off of God. You know what I mean? Involve
Yeah.
God in our relationship and let God mold us and teach us, because, like she said, I learned her so well because the Bible says, deal with her according to understanding.
Mhm.
I mean, and I can only deal with her by understanding who she is. So the
Yeah.
Bible tells me, learn your wife. You know what I mean? Not only learn your wife, love your wife as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how you build one fingerprint of marriage. Keeping God first, communication, and then yes, of course, sex. Because you ain't got that. God ain't in the picture. Enemy is gonna come in, right?
Absolutely.
You got good
Absolutely.
communication, man. You just tore up your own family. You ain't having sex. You're letting God knows who's in knows who's in the door. So that's what we
Absolutely.
have to work on that.
I heard you mention like marriage mentorships, marriage conferences, things like that, and I think that's good to I just wanted to highlight that because people think like they only do the counseling, that they require you to the 6 months before you get married, just so they make sure that you guys are on the same page. But I always tell people you need more than that to maintain your marriage. That only gets you to the altar. You need something else that's going to get you through the rest of the 50, 60 years that y'all got to be together.
Right.
So what are some of the different things that you've sought out and the different conferences that you found valuable that have really helped your marriage? And I also
Well,
want to highlight, I think y'all should have your own too, but we're going to go there later.
well, for me, it was because I come from a broken household, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never seen my father. I spoke to my father once over the phone. You know what I mean? I didn't have an example of a married couple or anything like that. I ain't had no male figure or anything. So what I was seeking out is, how do I be a husband to my wife? How do I be a father to my children? How do I be the man of the house?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was seeking those things out, and at the same time, I was seeking out, how do a wife supposed to treat a husband? I
Yeah.
was actually seeking these things out, how to build a household, because I come from a broken house. I don't want my children to experience the things that I experienced. So that's the things that I was intentionally seeking. So I was looking for these conferences and going to our bishop and so forth, and assigning us up for marriage conference, marriage mentorships and things like that. and just so we can get a better understanding how to do this because I didn't have the tools.
So we always once a year he'll sign us up for XOXO, which is
Okay.
a love conference. The very first one we went to was with John Gray in Dallas,
Oh,
Texas.
okay.
Phenomenal. He followed what's that like that?
I forgot it. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was one of the books we had to read when we was in our marriage mentor. So first
You don't
we
do too much
first
no more.
we were in the program first,
Okay.
right? And so while we was in the program, they give you books to read and stuff like that, and he always followed up.
Okay.
So whether he got an email or he'd be like, "Babe, look, they got this going." I'm like, "Let's go." I love conferences. Like I
Yeah.
do. And I'm not ashamed to say I love a conference. I
Yeah.
love gatherings. I love us coming together. I love the venues. I like when people get to come. I like supporting people. I mean, I just love conferences. And so he's
Mhm.
like, okay, bet. So I'm gonna find conferences.
But I never knew nothing about conferences.
Right. He didn't even
That's
know.
a whole different world than if you ain't never been to one. You like, what is this?
Because once again, I didn't grow up in church, none of that. I grew up in a
Mhm.
broken home, so all this was new. But one thing my bishop taught me that if you want it that bad, go get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, I want this because, you know what I'm saying? This is obviously, I couldn't have no kids till I met her. That's a God sign. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? She introduced me to a different life. That's a God sign. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the times we were separated, it hurted me badly. That's a God sign. You know, I'm
Mhm.
like, so I got to do what I need to in order to make this work. And that's, I sought out every resource that God put before me.
See, he's a great leader.
Yeah.
Like my husband's a great leader, so I'm definitely gonna follow. Why would I
Mhm.
buck up? So we go to this church. We moved to Conroe, Texas. We find this big mega church. We never been a part of a mega church, and to be honest, it was mostly Caucasians.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe he was like, "This our church," right? Because that's so out of his character. I'm super
Yeah.
diverse. I mingle with everybody.
Yeah.
And coming from Wisconsin, it's really segregated in Wisconsin.
Yeah. It is.
So the fact that he said, "Let's join this church," I knew it was God. Then they had the marriage ministry. He's like, "Hey,
Man,
they got a marriage ministry. Let's
I
go."
never figured.
Mhm.
So we go to the marriage ministry. It was called family. What was it called? Uh,
They didn't change it so many times.
yeah, but enhanced re-engagement. Oh, okay, I forgot the name.
Prepare
Prepare
enrichment.
enrichment, right? Prepare
Okay.
enrichment. So they had this program. It was a 10-week. We go, right. We go. They give us this assessment to
Mm.
assess our marriage. So
Okay.
we like, okay, let's do it. We
Right.
did the assessment, girl. It was 10.
Hey, we suck. How
Oh
about
my
that?
goodness, it was 10 topics. And y'all know the two we score high in: sex and spirituality. All the rest of them, we was in finances, communication, conflict
Hey,
resolution.
it was so bad that they said y'all don't need the teachers. Y'all need the director over the program, the mentor.
Wow.
Wow.
We scored a 20 out of 100,
Gosh.
right? And so the director came, she mentored us, she told us what to do, and we did it.
Mm.
We
I
did
love
it
that.
every night. It was 3 questions we had to ask each other at the end of the day. We did it. It said we had to pray together. We did it. It told us to read scriptures, the certain scriptures about each category. We did the work. And not only did we did the work, we kept doing the work. We just kept applying it. It became our DNA.
Yeah.
Right? It became our DNA. So what, about 6 weeks later, they had us reassess. We scored 100.
Nice.
Wow.
So
Now the
then,
pastors want to
now
talk
the
to.
pastors asked us to come and meet them. Now, mind you, it's a mega ministry. You don't get to talk to them.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
were like, "Tell us how you did it." We don't even score 100, right? Because it's two separate assessments, not like we do it together. So
Right.
to score 100 on both, we really was
That's
doing the
amazing.
work, right?
Yeah.
So then, we talked to them about, it works. If you apply it, it works. The
Yeah.
word
You
works.
apply it,
If
right.
you
Yeah.
apply it, the word works. It's basic
Absolutely.
instructions before leaving Earth. If you gonna do it, right?
Mhm.
We have a choice, and we were choosing us. We
I love
chose
it.
us.
It wasn't
I love
easy.
it.
I mean,
Oh no, no, easy, no.
that,
So, no, it wasn't.
especially for a male, you know what I mean, being vulnerable,
Mhm.
being honest,
Yeah.
it could be very, very challenging. but it was definitely worth it. You know what I mean? Not only did we notice the difference, everybody else started noticing the difference. And
I
then when
love
we went back home to Milwaukee, everybody was like, "Man, y'all are totally different people. Texas did y'all good." You know what I mean? It wasn't that. It was just us applying these
that.
principles to our lives, and
Yeah.
those are the same principles that we use in fingerprinted marriage because it helped us just that much.
Yeah.
Why we would not share that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We share that with everybody else that we mentor.
I love that. I love that, and that's the key statement because everybody like we talked about that today even in church. Everybody wants the end result. Nobody wants to do the work in between. It's like I
That's
just
it.
want that. I just want to look like that. But there is a process you have to go through with anything. You got to go through that process if you
Yeah.
want that end result. And so when you put in the work, you can have that. It's accessible to everybody, but you got to put in the work, and be consistent with what you're doing in order to get there. And I think it's definitely possible. Before we close tonight, I want to give you two a chance to shout out your ministries. Brandy, I know that you are now a certified life coach and you got a couple other things going on. So tell us more about that.
All right. Yeah, I'm now just got my certificate in the mail. I'm officially a certified Christian life coach where
I
I
love it.
help all people, be empowered, overcome limiting beliefs. Right now I'm still looking for my niche because I do so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have so much under my belt. I work in corporate America. So if you want to climb a ladder, I can help you to do that. I have a marriage ministry. I have I edit my husband's book. I'm an editor. All things creative. I do hair, I do everything. So right now I'm just taking on anybody and everybody. Whatever I can help, I will do it. I am a Christian certified life coach. So I'm going to teach you the principles. I'm going to teach you how to apply it to your life, how to overcome limited beliefs, how to pull down strongholds in every area of your life, especially forgiveness. Amen.
Amen.
And then I just said amen.
That another discussion. We're gonna have you
I
back
know we need a
on
part two.
part two because forgiveness is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like I had got this revelation, like, you cannot go in God's kingdom with unforgiveness. Like
Yeah.
you cannot.
Yeah.
I want to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiving people, just to sum it up, is seeing people the way that God do.
That's
Period.
true.
If you can see people the way that God do,
Mm-hmm.
that's forgiving. And you walk in it, you live in it.
Yeah.
And it's not simple, but the more you practice it, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do. See, what I keep remembering and keep rehearsing is we battle not against flesh and blood. I
Yeah.
cannot keep being mad at you
Yeah.
because you being used by the enemy. My real target is the enemy, not you,
That's
sis.
it.
Not you, bro. It's the enemy. I'm not gonna give him that. No, I'm not. But it's a work in progress, girl. I've been working on forgiveness for 22 for years.
You just learn how to turn it over faster and faster. It doesn't, just just I ain't gonna stay there. That's all it is. It's just the process of before we used to hold on to it. Now we just let it go. But I'm not gonna let this. So I think that's just key in that. How do we get in touch with you? So shout out. We need contact information, socials, websites, hashtags, all of the things.
We have a website. Which is
Okay. Put that up. Put that closer. Put that closer.
Get it closer.
Get
Zoom
it closer.
it in.
Zoom it in.
Zoom it in. All right.
There we
To
go.
the people. Faith alone.
That's it. Them books. Get them handbooks.
He also, listen, my baby is doing so good. This is his first book. You can find this on Amazon. But now he got one coming out. He got one called Spiritual Maturity, y'all.
I love it.
Yeah, that's it's in the process of now being published. It's getting ready to be shipped out to multiple stores and throughout the country, throughout the world, pretty much. This is one that I actually getting, published through a legit publisher company.
I did the other one. I did this one. I did that one.
Don't do her like that. She legit.
It's okay.
Yeah, she did.
You supposed to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Wife is the editor, but come on, because that one, this spiritual maturity, y'all, you gotta get it. It was such an eye turner. I couldn't even edit it. I read the whole, like I just went through it
I
because he
love
was
it.
being very vulnerable. He was telling his story. He was putting God. When I tell y'all, oh, it's so good. I can't wait for that one
Yeah,
to come out.
Right. So
absolutely.
She want
I was,
hashtags and stuff.
I was
We are looking forward to that. So spiritual maturity is on its way out. And what was the other book?
well, this one here we got faith that grows strong,
Okay.
belief, trust, and commitment. This one here is just based off a biblical study that I was doing off of faith. This is
Okay.
basically my notes put together, and it came out to a book.
Okay.
So I did a self-publish on that one. That one was on Amazon, and then
Oh, that was on Amazon.
I
Okay.
turned around and taught this to my family. And after teaching it to my family, that's where the study guide came from.
Wow.
So I wrote the book, then I turned around and did a study guide, and both of those are on Amazon. And
Okay.
I also have a family study guide on Amazon as well, um, and then a 30-day devotional on
Okay.
Amazon. And then, like I said, those are all done through Amazon, but I also have that spiritual maturity that I'm talking about when I stepped out on faith, and I actually got that published to go worldwide.
Well, you'll
Um,
have to let us know where we can get it so we can link it to our site so people
yes,
can
ma'am.
grab it as a resource. That's definitely key. We try to make sure everybody has access to all resources that are going to help them grow and sustain in their families, individual, personal lives, marriage, and beyond. So,
Yes, ma'am.
any final thoughts, babe?
I still feel like there's going to be a part two.
I'm
There's just
part
so
two.
much. This
Yeah.
within the segment of an hour, a lot of topics come out in the segment of
Yeah.
Right, right.
we can grow on, and I definitely would love to have you circle back again with us in the future because I feel like this could continue to not only grow our platform but grow yours as well.
Absolutely.
There's so much to be said, and I am all about the real and the raw
Mhm.
when it comes to it. And I think so many people hold back. And, again,
Yeah, we don't. You got to tell me to be quiet.
yeah, no, I just let it go because people need to be able to see that in order to provide strength and substance in what they're doing. And I
Yeah.
don't think enough people understand that. And because we like to pretend or keep quiet to ourselves, this is why people are stagnant and struggling.
Right. I need to know, and that's always how I live my life though. Like, don't just tell me God is good. How is he good? What
Yeah.
did he do for you to say that he's good?
Exactly.
You know what
Don't
I'm saying? Like, don't sugarcoat. I need to know the blunt truth. I need to know. And
Yeah,
so therefore I give people that because that's what I want.
absolutely.
Yeah, because people go through. We've been through.
Mhm.
We've been through our own trials and tribulations and challenges, and we had to face up and be, able to talk about it. And then as you say, talk about forgiveness. Talk
Yes.
about forgiveness within the marriage, because as
On the
man,
regular.
as man, we do wrong. And it's
Oh,
easy
yeah.
to do. The women can do wrong too, but as man, we do wrong. And sometimes we have to stand up and be vulnerable enough to ask for forgiveness to keep it going under the sight of God.
I mean, because we're two different people becoming one. We
Mhm.
gotta walk in forgiveness. Your
Mhm.
background is not my background. The way I see life is not the way you see life.
Absolutely.
So we have to walk in forgiveness. You have to. You may not even mean no harm because that's what your mama taught you to do.
That's
You know what
it.
I'm saying? Now I gotta tell you, hey, I don't, you can't do that with me.
Mhm.
And he like, but I've been doing this my whole life. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, I've never done it. So now we have to, you know what I'm saying? Because you hurt me when you do that. But
Exactly.
he don't know that's hurtful. Or even me, because I talk too much. He like, I need you to be quiet. I need you, you know what I'm saying? You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. I need you to listen more than you talk.
Oh, I get on his nerves. Okay.
I know, So
Well, he talks for a living, so he come home and I'll be like, talk back to me. He's like, I just been talking for 12 hours.
right.
But I need to talk to you.
But I need to talk, right?
Yeah.
So we work that out too, though. We work that out. So our rule in our house is whoever come home, give them 30 minutes. You
Okay.
get 30 minutes. After
Okay.
that 30 minutes, we all get to talk.
He get like 5. So he get like 5. So we're gonna have to work on that.
Even the kids know, they be like, oh, I ain't give you 30 minutes yet. Like, you better give me 30 minutes.
That's very true. That's very true. We've been working on that ever since our daughter was little. He would come home and I had a baby like Simba. And I'm like, all right, have a good night, And he'd be like, I just got home. I'm like, but she been waiting on you. So And then it was like we had to learn. He was like, if you just give me a little bit, I'll be all right.
Time
you
to
know,
decompress.
So
that way I can take care of the family.
Yeah.
So, it's like, you don't want to say that the family is a load, but you taking off one load, and I got a team, a team that I had to manage daily. So I'm putting one cycle of that life down to come back in and pick up the second cycle. And she wasn't understanding that.
Not at all.
And she's like, "Whoo, let me drop the bomb on you." And I'm like, "Whoo, what's going on? Like, this is too much."
Especially when you a stay-at-home mom. See, I was a stay-at-home mom, so when he got home, I'm like, I need a break. I done had these kids all day. Then I don't got no grown-up conversation. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G all day long. What's going on in the world? So we had to learn that, though. And now I'm in corporate. Man, I got teenagers, but I like, I get it. I need that 30 minutes.
Now you get the balance. Absolutely. It works. Well, look, we've had so much fun with you guys tonight. I truly enjoy it. I'm still a little salty that it's sunny and nice outside where y'all at. And we expecting snow any minute now. Just to let you know. But we are definitely going to have to do a part 2. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing with us. We love you tremendously, and we are just looking forward to more and more. And I'm serious about that marriage conference. Y'all go ahead and, petition the throne of grace. But I think that's something that you need to look into for the future.
It's in my plans.
All right. There we go.
It's definitely in my plans.
So that's just confirmation. All right. I love it. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and thank you so much again.
Thank you. We'll see you
soon. Bye.
Love y'all. Bye.